all God's people said, Amen.
A couple of years ago, I went, while I was up here in the cities, at Lifehouse Church, and then I felt God calling me to go to Vietnam. And so, and there's a lot of backstory behind it. I won't go too much into the details, but I just want to talk really today more about how God used me and how God used my wife and us in Vietnam. Even though it's a communist country, a country that is still closed to open religious freedom. They claim they have religious freedom, but really you can only do what they tell you you can do. So in Vietnam, publicly, you can only do what the government tells you you can do. It's not like here in the U.S. where, if you feel like telling someone the gospel, you're free to do it anywhere you want. But in Vietnam, that's not allowed. And so there were some challenges that we faced in Vietnam. But let me show all of us some pictures of what Vietnam is like. Okay, so who knows what this is? Okay, a bunch of scooters and mopeds, right? So where is this place?
Market?
So it's a market? Okay, close. So this is a parking lot in Vietnam. Where is this parking lot? So yeah, it is downtown, and it's also a market, but it's not a market. This is a hospital parking lot. Wow. So imagine going to St. Paul Regis Hospital and parking here. But we went there when we had our baby, we went there to get the prenatal checkup. And we had to drive on a scooter. We parked here. If you look closely, you can see our scooter. It's red. And we waited about 8 hours, and then they saw us and they did an ultrasound. But I showed this picture just to give a glimpse of what Vietnam is like. It's very different from what we're used to here in the United States. Here's a picture of a street in the capital city, Hanoi. So if you notice, there's cars, there's mopeds, scooters, and there's people driving these things, and there's even little kids riding on these things, right? So I know that here in the States, it's against the law to have a young child in the car without a car seat, right? Or a booster seat. If you look closely, you can see a woman driving with her child in the front, on her lap, while she's driving on the scooter in the middle of traffic. And so, it's a very different culture from the U.S. It's very different, and there are a lot of challenges in Vietnam, especially to do missions. But the reason that we were in Hanoi was because of this. We had a group, a fellowship of students from all over Vietnam. They've come together for school to go to the university. And so we would gather every Sunday and other days of the week to just pray, to worship, and also to play soccer. Who here plays soccer? Okay, so a couple of folks. So here, we have soccer fields everywhere, especially if you go up to Blaine, they have a huge national soccer complex. And anywhere, there are a lot of places you can go play. But in Hanoi, if you want to go play soccer, you have to go rent a soccer field. Because it's so crowded in Hanoi that you have to rent a soccer field so that you can play soccer. And so that's one of the things that we did while we were in Hanoi with the students. And so as my wife mentioned earlier when she was speaking, they started this group called the Hmong Students Fellowship Church. And they met weekly and they fellowship and they played soccer together and encouraged each other. And so when I went over to Vietnam, that's where I became part of, and I joined that fellowship. And so the rest of the slides will just talk a little bit about the fellowship. And also, what your church has contributed to the fellowship and to the work that we did in Vietnam. And the theme verse that we used, or I used for the time that I was there, when I was encouraging them, I chose this verse from 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 17 to 18. And if you have your Bible, you can look it up as well. But it says, "For this light momentary affliction is preparing us for an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison. As we look not to the things that are seen, but to the things that are unseen. For the things that are seen are transient, but the things that are unseen are eternal." So, what I wanted to tell the students when I was there, and we have students from all over the country, from the village. A lot of the students that you saw earlier, they are from the village. And so a lot of them, they've never seen a car before, or they've never ridden in a car or a bus before, but they're here in town because this is the only place where they can get a higher education. So they left their moms, their dad, and their family. They traveled many hours to get to this city, this foreign city that where they go to school. And so I wanted to encourage them, because a lot of them, they come and they pretty much they use their whole life savings to get there, and they don't have much. And I know for us, we even the poorest of us here in this room, we know where our next meal is going to be. Right? Even if we don't have money, we can go to a food shop, or we can go to a place, any place that might serve us a meal for free. So we always know that we'll have a meal. Even if we skip a meal, we know there'll be another meal available. But with some of these kids, they don't really know when their next meal is going to come. Right? And they're just living their dorms are just really run-down shacks. And they live just day by day, not knowing when the next meal is going to come. And so they struggle. They struggle, and some of them, they struggle with the language too. Growing up in the village, they have less access to education, so they don't even speak the Vietnamese language very well. They speak more home in the village. And they come to the city and they don't know how to ride the bus or how to go buy groceries. Little things like that. So I wanted to encourage them, and I wanted to tell them that, God's word tells us that, all this affliction, all these problems that we're facing day in and day out, it's nothing. It's nothing compared to what? Compared to the eternal weight of glory that's coming, that God is giving us, one day that we will receive. And even as we are receiving, we've gotten a taste of it, but there's this eternal weight of glory that's coming. And this glory is something that right now we can't see, but it's there. And we have to place our hope in this glory that we can't see. But don't place our hope on the things that we can see, on money or your car or your house. But place your hope and your worry in the things that are unseen, which is God's glory. And what is God's glory? A lot of times we talk about God's glory and we're not really sure where it is. Right? What is God's glory? And what does it mean for us to receive God's glory? Does it mean that when we receive God's glory, we start shining like a light bulb? Right? Or because God is shiny, right? We think of God as like very glimmering and shiny and very powerful. So when we receive God's glory, does that mean we just glow like God? But in fact, there's so much more to God's glory. Right? And it has to do with God's power, with God's love, the Holy Spirit. And I like the comparison that C.S. Lewis made. When we are asking God for things, right? Sometimes when we pray, we ask God for, we want a new car, or we want to pass a class at school. And we're asking for these little things, but we forget to ask God for His glory. But God, give us your glory. I know there's a band called Third Day, right? Do you guys know the band Third Day? It's
Yes.
probably for us older guys like David and Pastor Chris. There was a band that was really popular back in the 90s and early 2000s. They were called Third Day. They had a song called like, Show Me Your Glory. God, show me your glory.
Sing it.
I can't, his voice is too good. I can't do it justice, but maybe you can do it later. But God, show me your glory. I want to see your glory. And that's the prayer that I wanted the students to pray. And that I want to encourage all of us to pray for God to show His glory to us, to our church, to our community. And it's kind of like, so C.S. Lewis says, for a little girl, like the little girl that just ran up, like if you asked her what she wanted and you gave her two choices, right? You give her like a toy, maybe a doll or something, and then you give her, and then you ask her to choose between the doll and two cruise tickets to the Caribbean. Okay, what would she choose?
The doll.
The doll or the Caribbean cruise tickets?
The doll.
The doll, right? So this little girl, she doesn't know anything about cruise, right? She doesn't see the value of this cruise that's worth infinitely more than the little doll. But she enjoys that doll more, so she chooses the doll. And so we're kind of like that little girl when God wants to give us His glory, but we're just asking, to pass the exam tomorrow. Or we're just asking, God, I just need a new car. But instead, we should be asking for, God, how can You use my life to glorify You, to bring You glory, so that Your glory can shine to the ends of the earth. That's God's glory. And that's the verse that I used repeatedly during my time in Vietnam to encourage these students, because I knew that they didn't have a lot of material belonging. They didn't always know where their next meal was coming from, but they had God. And if you have nothing else but you have God, then that's enough. And so, and just to give us a little picture of what Vietnam looks like, this is an aerial view of a farming landscape in Vietnam. So most Hmong people who live in Vietnam, they live in an area that looks like this. So, you see there's some houses and then they got their rice terraces around their house. Most Hmong people in Vietnam are farmers. And they grow rice and other crops. And like farmers, most of them are not very rich. They just have enough. They make enough to get through the next year. They can't really, there's not much where you can save money. There's not a lot of opportunities to save money. Most of what you make, or most of what you grow, you use that year. And then next year, you wait for the next crop. So you really have to depend on the weather. You really have to depend on God. And that's where a lot of Hmong people, they came to Christ because they were farmers and they were poor. And they didn't know where else to turn. And the government wasn't going to help them. The government had enough problems of its own, so they didn't have anyone else to go to, and they turned to God. And maybe that's similar to some of us here too, where we didn't have anywhere else to turn to God. But a lot of these students, they come from these villages. And this picture just shows a little bit of what the Hmong people in Vietnam dressed like. So a lot of Hmong people in the States were from Laos and Thailand, so we dress a little bit differently in our traditional clothing. But in Vietnam, they have like 9-10 different styles of dress in Vietnam for different regions. where Hmong people live. So this is just a little picture of what they look like. And this is the space where we met weekly to worship. It's at a house church. So in Vietnam, you can't really just go somewhere and go to church, right? Even if you have a lot of money, you can't just go to and buy material and start building a church on your plot land. You have to get a license, and you have to get approval from the government. And most of the time, they'll reject your requests. And most of the time, they won't let you build a church. But if you tell them that you're just building an extra room in your house, and then you convert it into a sanctuary, then they can't stop you. So this is a house church in Hanoi. It's built. So in Hanoi, it's very crowded. So they can't expand. You can't expand your house sideways. So they expand their house vertically. So this sanctuary is on the 5th floor of this guy's house in Hanoi. So every Sunday it's a workout. Because they don't have elevators either. So you walk up 5 flights of stairs. And then after worship, you walk down 5 flights of stairs. But it's quite a spiritual experience, because you really have to commit to worship to walk up those 5 flights of stairs. So you know that everyone who's there, they're there, they want to be there, right? So we're really grateful to the Vietnamese pastor who allowed us to use this sanctuary in his house, where we met weekly for worship. This is a picture of some of our Hmong students after we completed a Foundations of the Faith course. And so we celebrated and we gave them each a Bible as a gift for finishing the Foundations course. This is a picture of our Vietnamese pastor baptizing one of our students. So when he came to Hanoi, he decided to give his life to Christ. So they baptized him. So the baptismal pool is just a hole in the floor, as you can see. But he was baptized. So praise God. And then this picture is when I was invited to go preach at a youth camp. So who's been to Standing Stones here? So our youth camp is Standing Stones, right? So we went to Camp Allen for a long time, and then last year we went to a new place called Hannibal, right? Hannibal LaGrange University. Very different, right? So our camp experience is probably very different from their camp experience. So if you notice in this picture, they were worshiping late into the night. And so they only had one building. Okay? And the building could only seat about 100 people. They had about 150 people here. So if you were late to service, you had to sit in the dark. So you see that there's a bunch of people outside, and then the stage is way up front. And it was a camp. It was a youth camp, and it was. I had a great time. But I just wanted to show us some of the blessings that we have here in the States. But also to show us that you don't need a lot to do the ministry. You don't need a lot. You don't need air conditioning. You don't need a big building to serve God. You can serve God anywhere that God calls you, and you answer yes. And this young man here, he heard about our church, so he came to Hanoi by himself. He's only about 20, but he's only been divorced once. So he came to Hanoi. His family lives about 3 hours north of Hanoi. And he's here by himself. And he was looking he heard about our church, so he came to our church. And he wanted to get baptized. So I asked him, so why do you want to get baptized? What have you seen in your life that has caused you to make this important decision? Because baptism, it's a very important decision, a very life-changing decision. So why do you want to get baptized? Did you see something that God did in your life? And so he thought about it, and he said, well, I guess before he was telling his life story, before he used to smoke and drink a lot. And then he tried to quit smoking, and it was so hard to quit smoking. So one day he went to church, it was a different church, and he heard about God. And so he started thinking about this God. And he found out that if he prayed to God, it helped him to stay away from the cigarettes. It helped him to quit smoking when he prayed to God. And so that's how he knew that God's power was real, that God was real. That God helped him overcome his smoking addiction. And so that's why he wanted to be baptized. And I was just like, wow. You're ready. You're ready to be baptized, brother. But finally, I'm sorry I'm going very quickly, but if we have more time, we can talk some more after service too. But the main thing I wanted to show us today is VBS. Okay. And I'm so glad to see the VBS stand, and so happy that you guys are doing it next week. And if you guys have time, if you guys want to, you guys can bring your VBS to Vietnam and do it in Vietnam too.
Got it.
That would be great. That would be awesome because when we were in Vietnam, we thought about doing VBS, and we were inspired by all the churches that did it here in the States. We were like, yeah, let's do VBS in the village. So we decided to get a group of some of the students. We gathered some students together, and we asked some villages if they would let us come to do VBS. And so they said yes. One village said, yes, please come. We would love to have you do VBS. And the verse that we used was from Genesis chapter 8, verse 1. And the theme was kind of related to, well, we used 4 stories, but we used the primary story was from Noah. But God remembered Noah and all the beasts and all the livestock that were with him in the ark. That was kind of our overarching verse. The meaning behind this verse for us was that Noah and his family and all the animals on the ark, they were stuck in the middle of the ocean, and with all the rain and all the flooding, and in the middle of this storm, I'm sure there were times when Noah and some of his sons and his family probably wondered, it's been 30 days. Is God gonna bring us to dry land soon? Yeah. But this verse says God remembered Noah. So even in the midst of the storm, in the middle of this ocean, God remembered Noah. And that's an encouragement to us that in the middle of our storms, in life, when we're struggling, don't forget that God still remembers you. God knows you, and He remembers you. And He's going to bring you out of the storm, just like He brought Noah and his family out of that storm. And so that's why we used the story of Noah and the theme, Bachi Pauku. God knows me. God remembers me. Bachi Pauku. So the village that we went to, this is one of the views from the hill where the church is close by, close to the Chinese border. Okay, so this is North Vietnam, close to China. This is registration. So we went to the village and we made 80 T-shirts, and we were expecting about 80 students, but 100 students showed up. So we had 100 kids, and this is the church that we used. So it's just a one-room church, kind of the same size as this sanctuary. So you just imagine having 100 kids in the sanctuary like this, with no other rooms, and we couldn't go outside. And the reason why we couldn't go outside was because they didn't want the government to see us. Because sometimes, because it's on one of the main roads, so they didn't want the government officials to see us when they drive by. Because if they see us, they might tell us to stop. So we told everyone to stay inside. And this was in the summer too, so it got super hot. And we were sweating, and all churches was sweat. We did VBS, and we had a great time. So just me talking, all the kids doing the motions to one of the songs that we taught them. And some of our students and leaders leading an activity for the kids. Lunchtime. So since we didn't have a lot of time, because in the village, if you're doing God's work in the village in Vietnam, you don't have a lot of time, because eventually when the government finds out that you're there, they'll come and tell you to leave. So we gave ourselves 2 days, and we did VBS from 8 o'clock until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So we cooked lunch for all the kids. So this is what we did when we had lunch. In Vietnam, everyone uses chopsticks. And they all gather around the food, and then you just pick up whatever you need from the middle. And so you see all these little kids using chopsticks and eating food. Yeah, so this is how they eat lunch in Vietnam, all the little kids. Okay, so this is our group picture for VBS. But one of the main reasons that I wanted to show our VBS to you, to your church, is because your church was one of the sponsors of this VBS. And so I also want to take this opportunity to thank Twin Cities Home Baptist Church and everyone who contributed to the funds when John, Ms. Chris, when she asked the church last year, around this time, if anyone wanted to give to Vietnam, to the mission in Vietnam, and to the VBS. And many of you gladly gave. And so this VBS wouldn't have been possible without the generosity of this church. So I just wanted to give thanks to God for you guys, for this church, and to thank all of you for supporting the mission in Vietnam. Okay, so God bless all of you. And then I have a couple more pictures. So who knows this incident, this issue? Okay, so last year, also around this time, there was some news from one of the regions, one of the farther, more rural regions of Vietnam, where these 5 families, they came to Christ, and they accepted Christ. But after they accepted Christ, their village didn't want them anymore. Their village told them, hey, if you want to stay in this village, or if you want to stay in your house, you have to recant. You can't become Christians if you want to live in this village. And so like a lot of these guys, they've been living there for decades. And then now they want to go to church. And the village says, okay, you can't, so we're gonna kick you out. So the village and all the lower government officials in that village, they kicked the families out, and so they were forced to live on the street. And so if you see that there's a path, right? So that's, for us, like our streets are like really wide, right, because we drive cars, but their streets are really small because they drive on the motorbikes, the scooters. So they're on the street on the side of this main road for these scooters. And it was very sad because some of them, they had little kids. and they just had to bring whatever they can grab. And they have these little kids that they still have to feed. You know, they still have to take care of their families, their kids, but they can't go back to their house, to their village. So it was a very sad situation, and we see this almost every other month in Vietnam. There's something like this happens almost every other month. And like I said earlier, it's officially they have freedom of religion, but in practice, it doesn't work that way. And there's still a lot of persecution of Christians. So please continue to pray for the brothers and sisters in Vietnam. So just a quick picture of the families, the 5 families who were kicked out of their houses and forced to live on the street because they converted to Christianity. But there is a good ending to the story, fortunately. And I'm also glad to say that your church was part of the solution as well, part of the grace that was given to this family. So, but officially, when this story became really big in Vietnam, the higher government officials in the capital, they heard about it, and they were embarrassed, because it's very embarrassing when the whole world sees this story and sees these little petty officials up in the village, treating their own citizens really poorly like this. So it's really embarrassing to the higher government officials. So they went to the village and told them that they had to take the people back. So eventually, the central government came out and resolved the situation. They were able to go back to their homes. But when they got back, all their homes have been ruined already, and all their crops were ruined. And so they didn't have any food. All their vegetables that they had grown that year were ruined, and their houses were in disarray. And so they still had to pick themselves up. So that's where your church came in. And so these are the 5 of the men that were in that picture earlier. So I remember last year I was at home and I received a message from Jean, the sister Chris, and she said she saw all these pictures and it really broke her heart, and she wanted to know if she or the church could do something about it. So we called the pastor who lived close to that village, and so this village is like 8 hours from where we live. So we called the pastor and he said, yeah, I've been in contact with the family and they are accepting donations at this time. So I talked with Jean, and Jean came and talked to you guys, and you guys gave. And so they were able to go back. The pastor went back and handed all of them some financial assistance, as you see here. Here's a picture of the pastor standing with the 5 men who were driven out of the village, and each with a gift, a financial gift, to buy whatever they needed to buy. So this gift is from the church, okay, specifically from the church. It wasn't from any other churches that we contacted. And they were also provided with some rice, some sacks of rice, so to last them a couple months. And so the money that you donated was able to produce some fruits, to help these needy families. So I want to thank your church again for being part of God's love and loving these families who have faced great struggle because of their faith. And so just lastly, I just wanted to ask everyone to continue praying for the believers in Vietnam as they continue to face persecution, and also to pray for the students, our non-students fellowship. So obviously my wife and I were here in the States now, but we still have a lot of people, a lot of the students are still in Hanoi doing the same work that we started. So just continue to pray for the leaders, that they continue to be strong, to continue serving, and hopefully to continue doing the VBSs. We want them to continue doing VBS as well. at least once a year. And also, if God is tugging on your heart to continue to give to either the families or to the home student fellowship, to the leaders who are still serving in Vietnam, you can give as well. You can talk to myself or my wife, and we can connect you with the believers in Vietnam. And like I mentioned earlier, I would love to see the VBS team go to Vietnam one day to serve those 100 kids in their little